Careful with my woes, stay ready around my foes. What can happen, man, who knows? What can happen, I don't know. Careful with my woes, stay ready around my foes. What can happen, man, who knows? What can happen, I don't know. This that story that been told, from the young up to the old. We gon' step on what he wrote. 30, 40, 50 million, living other souls, that's a goal. We might bend but never fold. We don't care about that mileage. We gon' travel over mountains. Bear, I got up all the homage. Leave it better than we found it. I'm just tryna keep it honest. I've been drowning, I've been careful with my woes. Stay ready around my foes. What can happen, man, who knows? What can happen, I don't know. Careful with my woes. Stay ready around my foes. What can happen, man, who knows? What can happen, I don't know. Don't kill my vibe, you on it. Watch how we slide, tectonics. Gotta die to live life ironic. That's Jesus Christ, iconic. Nemo did it, cooking beats up like it's pasta. Let it bang, big bass, speaking out the book of life. Yeah, we made it on that.
Get the screen on me for Parker. Right back to you.
Welcome back to the Disciples Podcast. This is my first introduction, so this is a little awkward, but yeah.
Does it make you feel better if I'm on the screen with you?
Yeah.
We're growing, baby. Doing things we don't like to do, getting out of our comfort zone.
Yeah. This is different, bro. I don't like this at all.
People complain about me talking too much, Parker.
No,
you gotta.
Said nobody ever.
I complain
about
my wife a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you start by talking about what our name is and what we're about?
And the Disciples Podcast 113 represent. It's the we proclaim to you what we have seen and heard, so that you also may have fellowship with us. And our fellowship is with the Father and with His Son, Jesus Christ. It's basically just the big community where we can talk about the Lord and His goodness and just rejoice, make fun of each other, laugh, look each other up. A good cycle.
Amen. Amen.
So today, we're going to be talking about debating the hot topics. We're going to be spinning some spicy wheels.
Ooh.
And we're going to learn how to trust in the Lord.
Okay. Before we do that, follow us on TikTok, Instagram, at the Disciples Podcast. And we are also now on Spotify as well. So look us up on Spotify. There's a link on our YouTube channel and a link in our Instagram bio. But yeah, so got a couple things planned. One of those things would be the Wheel of Chatter. We won't give away too much on that, but yeah, that's fun stuff. Before we do, I think it's proper that we do our weekly catch up. Parker, how you been?
How have I been?
How you been?
I've been good, man. Back in Kansas City.
Back into KC.
Back in Kansas City. Enjoying it here. Spent a lot of time with some friends and spent some time with Marcus while I've been back here, which has been good. Got destroyed in pickleball with Brent. He's got too much of that youth pastor in him. He just goes crazy. But yeah, back in Kansas City, back in school, sadly. Golfing, about to start work here next week. It's gonna be good, man. What's up with you? What's up with you guys?
Not much.
Bro,
next question. Not.
We're gonna put you on a solo layout. We're gonna put you on.
Jethro, get out of here. Get on. Not much. Since last week, we got school and stuff coming up. We have football coming up. My wife, she's gone. So just me and Jethro in the house right now. It's kind of depressing, kind of lonely, kind of sad. Had a really rough day today. It's been pretty good. Other than that, it's been tough, but I've been able to distract myself with work, podcast stuff, disc golf. Today, everything kind of just hit me out of the blue. To be honest, it was a tough day. start off, so those of you who know me, you know clearly I have ADHD, and it's very apparent in everything. But when I'm under a lot of stress, it is exponentially just 10 times higher. So my mind's just racing, and I'm not thinking about anything but everything. It's like I have 600 people talking to me at once, and I'm trying to process it all while living life, and it's kind of crazy. So this morning, I was leaving for work, thinking about all the million thoughts that were running through my head, not thinking about driving, and was backing out of my lone driveway, and for whatever reason, thought I could do it without looking back, and was looking forward. I honestly can't even remember what I was doing, but I wasn't looking in my rearview mirror, and I doinked the back side of my truck into a tree, which I was going slow, but the way I hit it, like here's the tree. The tree was kind of like this, so I couldn't really see it out of the backup camera, which I usually always check my mirrors. I think I was just looking at my backup camera. Usually it beeps, but the tree was like this, and so I went like this and backed into it, and it scraped, and that, because of that motion, dented it up the whole side of the truck. So that's how I started my day, and then I had all kinds of other stuff on top of that.
I had no idea that happened.
I know, that's why I'm telling you about my week. That's what this time is. It's, hey, how are you? But no, so that happened. I've been kind of upset with myself because it's just stupid. Like that's something that people who aren't responsible and aren't good drivers do.
I wouldn't say that, bro. It's a mistake. You can't write that off as you're not responsible, bro.
I don't know. I'm gonna get I pride myself on being a good driver, and then I do something stupid like that on my truck. That
it is defined by your.
Yeah, I know, but it's hard, and I think it's a combination of that. It's a combination of Ashton not being here. It's a combination of some of the conversations I'm having to have with her about some stuff with her deployment and stuff.
For clarity,
it's
his wife didn't leave him for good.
Well, we talked about that in the podcast she was on. How she's in the military, she's getting deployed, can't really talk about anything other than that, any more information. But it's a highly stressful, and there's always, no matter where, there's a lot of chances of bad things happening. She's going off and protecting, so I'm very thankful for her and her sacrifice to do this for her country and stuff. But I'm also, as her husband, I'm like, it's kind of stressful because it's my wife doing this, and it's just been like everything is coming down on me today. So it was a tough day. You probably couldn't tell because I'm actually feeling a lot better. I went and played disc golf a little bit ago. I'm still tired. I'm still worn out, but I had a lot of time today to just reflect, and it kind of felt, and I got to talk to my mother about it. I didn't really talk to Ash as much today because I didn't want to stress her out about it, but talked to her, and it kind of felt like today I was just like, I didn't realize how much I was just thinking about and stressing about too much. It was almost just like you don't realize, I didn't realize how much I was just avoiding these thoughts, or how much my mind was just running rapid, and I was dealing with all this stuff, trying to cope with, her being gone and all kinds of stuff, and how much it affected my ability to just live life. I'm struggling to do my job, struggling to focus and get to work and do what I need to do there, forgetting to do this, forgetting to do that's kind of what happens when I get super stressful, and I kind of had to take today to kind of be like, all right, I just need to sit and wrestle with whatever it is I'm going with, rather than trying to outrun it, because it's causing me to. It's not allowing me to slow down. My mind's racing 100 miles an hour. So, but no, I've had a little bit of time to deal with it and process it. So I'm feeling a lot better, honestly. But yeah, it was a rough start to the day. And any of my kids who are watching this, or any of my fellow coaches, all my other fellow coaches have already given me a hard time about it. I'm sure if any of my kids watch this and see it, they will. But it's fine. Coach Turner makes a mistake. I know I'm just this awesome person that you think never makes a mistake, but look, I'm just human. No, but that's been my day. That's been my week. I'm still super excited. I'm still super pumped. I'm excited for this football season. I'm excited for school to start. I'm about ready for my professional development stuff to be done. That's another thing. That's many of you may not know. Teaching is not just showing up on school year. Like, you don't just get to something. Like, we have weeks and weeks of, like, we've had the last 2 weeks of just training and seminars and boring lectures that we've had to go through, that I'm just like all day today, like from 8 o'clock this morning until 5 o'clock, I was going through lectures and conversations and stuff. So I'm about ready to be done and for school to actually start and football to start. But no, I'm doing better. I definitely am.
That's good.
Is that ice good?
Fire. It's fire.
All right. That being said, I think that kind of goes into our serious topic. So, kind of what we're wanting to do now, kind of to have a better format for you guys. We're going to continue to introduce it. We're going to continue to talk about our weeks, but then we want to go into like a time of serious time when we talk about a specific topic spiritually, on something we're going through in our lives, or something that's relevant to our lives, from any questions or discussions we may have. And this week, we kind of thought of the topic of trusting in God. And it's so crazy because last night, this is literally what my conversation with my wife was about. How we can trust God in this season. And I know, Parker, this has been a big thing for you. Is somebody singing in the background?
Roommates.
Oh man, that's a whole nother animal right there.
Don't even get me started.
Be praying for you. Be praying for Parker and his new roommate situation. Trusting God in this new roommate situation.
Okay.
Well, so talk about what it means for you. What is this topic? What do you want people to? Because I think this is a topic that is we hear it a lot. Trusting God, lean on like all these things, and we really don't understand how to apply that, or really what it means in our lives. So, do you need to go handle, or you need to somebody knocking for you, or okay?
Yeah.
Well, you good?
Yeah. I'm
Okay.
good. Roommate situation, man.
Welcome to college.
Yeah, but trusting. It's a word that it's been the word for my year. I choose in the beginning of the year, kind of pray for a word, and I don't know how it's revealed to me, but it's just kind of after a couple of days, I just dwell on something, and this year it was stress, and it's something that I've had to learn a lot of obstacles, a lot of challenges, a lot of doubts, like points where it's like, God, like, what are you doing? Like, I don't understand. And it all circles back to trusting. And what trust means to me is like allowing yourself to understand that there's a God who is above all. He understands. He comes down and he meets you in those places of mourning and even rejoicing. And it's being able to trust in him in those moments and to lean on him in those moments, to understand that he is your rock and that he never fails. And even when it seems like it's super, super difficult, even when you're going through different seasons and obstacles and challenges, like trust. Just believe that he's working for your good and that he's moving through you and for you. Whether it may not be clear, sure down the road when you have a clear perspective and you have clarity on the situation, you'll look back and you'll be like, I understand why that happened. And even if it's painful, you'll understand what you learned from that and that hurt. You'll understand what you're delivered from. And it's a beautiful thing. It really is. And it's really hard to understand. And it's something that you just have to trust. It's to believe and to understand that I'm an imperfect person and I'm in need of a Savior. And Jesus was that for me. And he was a perfect man. And he died for me. And that's enough for me to just wake up and know that he is for me.
Yeah. Trust. It's a breath out. It's something that can only come, and it brings peace and joy like no other. Like it's hard to describe the feeling of when you trust. And I think we've all like trusted people, and we kind of expect or convey our trust to be like our trust in God. Like, I trust you in these areas, I don't trust you in that. Like Parker, if it came down to like me or you, like my life was on the line and I needed someone to, like either me or you, to hit a golf ball 300 yards, I'm not trusting in myself. I'm trusting in you. But if I'm doing a race and I'm like, who's going to run the race the fastest? Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, there's different ways to think about it, but like we trust people in some facets and we trust others in other facets. And it's hard to fully trust someone because no one's truly an expert in all regards. But God is. And God is someone who we can't just trust like on certain things. Like, God, I trust you when things are good. I trust you to do this, but I don't trust you in this. Like, he's either who he is, who he says he is, or he's a liar. Like, God makes it very apparent. God doesn't ever leave it up to like, no, he tells you who he is. He tells you what he is. And like, if you believe part of it, you have to believe all of it. And I think we don't have a God who, like, our God makes it simple for us in how we need to trust him, like, and how we need to trust him in everything, and how he has a plan for us in everything, even when we don't see it. And so it's not just like it's a full surrender of our lives in trusting him. I also think of trust, and often people think of courage as the opposite of fear, but I believe trust is the opposite of fear. I think courage is the opposite of fear in a worldly sense, but I think in a spiritual sense, like, we know that the truth in my courage, or the truth about the opposite of fear, is trusting in God. When we don't trust in God, we're fearful, or we're afraid of what may happen. We're afraid of what could happen, and we try to take the reins and do stuff.
Yeah, in the moment that you lack trust, you kind of bring it upon yourself, and that only brings destruction.
Yeah.
It's never a good thing when you can't fix a situation by yourself. You need to dig yourself a bigger hole.
Yeah, I think of the story of Job, And I think I got at the end of it, he's just like, are you the one who did this, created the stars? Do you know this? Do you know this? And God's just showing how like wise God is and talking about how well he is at being God and how good he is at being God.
Is that in
29?
I
I believe so. But it's dang, I lost my track. But it's like when we lose trust or we don't see how God's working in this area, and we don't like the results that may happen, or we don't like the results that are happening in our lives. We feel like we need to take the reins. And if you're trying to play God over your own life, you're not going to be able to do it. Good luck. You're leading yourself to destruction. I think the enemy wants you to think like, oh, you better take charge. You better do this. You better do something. And like, I don't think trust is just not being obedient to God. I think there's an aspect of following him and being active and pursuing him. But when we try to just take everything and like, oh, I'm fearful about this happening, or I care so much about whether I have a job or not, and so I'm going on my own accord, or I need more money and this job isn't paying me enough, so I'm going to go chase money even though I feel like God's calling me to this job. And it just ends up making it harder on ourselves. And you can only know this in the same way that you only gain trust in a relationship with a person. Like, I can't trust you with my deepest thoughts and my deepest desires as a friend if I don't know you. So it comes from a better understanding of getting into God's word, praying, listening to the Spirit, pursuing him, that we gain this trust. So it's only in trusting him that we get more trust, if that makes sense.
It's really good. It's really good.
What else?
We can move on to the next topic.
Yeah, I was just I had one more thing that I was thinking of that I thought of in that trusting in God. Trying to draw to trusting in God and continue trusting God. You trust him. This happens sometimes, guys. ADHD. I told you. Trusting in God leads more trust, more faithfulness. But maybe if I just start talking, it'll come out. Sometimes you ever do that? Like you're like, can't remember what I'm trying to say, but if I just keep talking, I'm just stalling. I can't remember what I was trying to say.
It's all right.
It might come up. Yeah. Anything else or anything from this you want to talk about?
I think you hit the hammer on the nail, bro.
I hit the hammer on the nail.
No, that's not the saying, isn't it? What is it? Is it the nail on the head? Is it? Hold on, let me Google this.
Hit the hammer on. Maybe you hit the hammer on the nail. I guess that does make sense. I don't know why it didn't sound like it made sense. I don't know.
Maybe. I think it's nail on the head, though. Anyways, it's enough sidetrack.
Yeah. No, I
think it's hammer on the nail. Sorry.
Either way, I think this is something we really want to talk about. Because this is something that we deal with, and we know that other people deal with this. I think having this trust in God, this is what I was going to say. It came up. Read the Word of God, and you study it. You see countless times and times. Like, we can go all throughout the Old Testament, right? And if we trust the Word of God as the Word of God, we can look at the Old Testament, look at Abraham, look at David, look at Joseph, look at Jonah, look at all these people, look at people in the New Testament. Look how their lives are when they're trusting in God. Look how their lives are when they're not trusting in God. And look at some of the stuff that they had to deal with, and look how God brought them to it. So I think if you're in a season of trust where you don't like the results, like it's very cliche and it's almost prosperity to say like God's not done with it, like because you're not always going to be prosperous, you're not always going to have all these great things, but God's going to bring you through it, and He's going to have a lesson for you to learn through it, and He's going to have there's going to be growth from it, and you're going to experience joy on the other side of this. And I think that's where I want to draw the verse that we both pulled without even knowing to this, James 1, 2 through 5. You kind of harped more on 5. I put 2 through 5. So it says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, when you face trials of many kind, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance." Right? And then the next verse says, "Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." And then your verse, "If anyone lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you." I think these verses, especially like they're considering it joy, like guys, if you are considering or you are presently walking in a relationship with God and you're not trusting in Him, it's like having the cure for cancer sitting right next to you and you choosing not to take it as a dying cancer patient. I mean, God puts it like he's proven time and time again that He's faithful. He's proven time and time again that He's trustworthy. By putting your trust in Him, it's not just something for Him, it's something for you. It's something and this is something that I need to hear. This is something that Parker needs to hear. This is his verse. This is something that as a solid follower of Christ, like I still struggle with. So I realize like the worldliness inside of me wants me to fear, and it wants me to take control of my life. But by doing that, I'm just causing myself harm. I'm just ruining my own life. Trust Him. Even when it doesn't feel right, even when you want to take control, even when you're not being patient, trust Him. He has every right to be trusted, and He will prove itself. Anything you want to add, or anything that you took from this verse that you wanted to share?
Yeah, if you want to flip it over to 5 on the screen.
Yeah.
If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. I think oftentimes we're quick to run to ourselves. We're quick to run to others for answers. And we kind of search within our own boundaries of what we think we should do, whether it's a new job, whether it's just anything, we oftentimes will go to other people, and this is something I've noticed in my own life, and I'm sure that it can resonate with you guys as well. But we kind of run to other people, and we look to them as shelter when it's not something that you should spin the wheel on. It's something that you should seek answers to within God, and He'll give you the answers. Like, He'll reveal what He wants for you. Like, it's nothing that's like, God's not going to be like, oh, I mean, I don't know. No, like He wants you to seek Him for these things, and God will give generously without finding fault. It's something that He enjoys doing, and it's something that you should look towards.
Well, that's great. I think wisdom is such a multifaceted thing, and I think it's something that like we don't seek, because we seek our own wisdom, or we seek our own understanding, and we think that our own understanding is wisdom. We think that the way that we perceive life, or the way that life has been to us, is the true all for everyone. And I think so much, even culturally, like so many problems we have in our culture is because we lack understanding about what other people have experienced, and we see the world from a closed lens on what we see. And I think for us to truly seek His understanding and lean on His understanding and seek spiritual wisdom, not just see things from the way that we see them, Because it's really easy when we look through our own eyes to perceive something as bad and to perceive something as wrong. And that perception of something being wrong or that perception of us not being on the right path is what leads us to that fear and that unknown of I need to take control rather than God. I have this wisdom and understanding that you are God and that you're good. And that wisdom lets me know I need to let go. And what kind of joy that is to not have to do anything. Just sit back and watch the God of the universe work for you and provide for you, and encourage you to move and give you the steps on where to go, which is also probably the next thing I wanted to talk about. Okay, I think if I was hearing this a couple years ago, or even some people that I've talked to are hearing this, okay, Aaron, I get it, trust in God, but okay, I'm trusting in him, but he hasn't given me any answers. What do I do? How do I know what I'm doing is what God wants me to do? If I'm trying to trust in him, but I don't know what to do. He hasn't made it apparent. You want to talk about how have you navigating finding out what God's will is in your life?
How have I navigated finding out what God's will is in my life? I think it starts with prayer. And that's but no, it's a big thing, and it's I kind of know
We don't do it enough.
Yeah, we don't do it enough, and we don't surrender enough. I kind of know when I'm stepping into something that's outside of God's will. I feel a deep conviction, and I feel this gut feeling of warning signs around in my life from other people in my life that I'm having them pray for about this. It's allowing them to speak into me saying, hey, I think this could be a better option, or hey, maybe it's not direct, but hey, I was praying for you, and I just thought that you should trust in the Lord. And it's man, I've been going through it the past couple of weeks. I know that I've been doing stuff I shouldn't have been doing, and that was what I needed to hear to get on the right track, to follow kind of what that calling was in my life. And that sounds super abstract, but sometimes it's not very clear. And I know it's not clear right now in my own life. I know that I'm walking through the midst of it, and I feel like there's a lot of fog around me. But I know that when I bring Christ into my life, when I use his prayer as a weapon, it's like a big old flashlight, and it clears the way. It makes things clear. And even if it doesn't in the moment, I know that he's with me, and I'm stepping each step in faithfulness, knowing that he's right there with me. He's in front of me. He's behind me. He's around me. And so I don't have to walk in fear. I don't have to walk in shame. I don't have to walk in sadness, because I know that he's working for me. And life is like a million bajillion moments. It's not just a one-track tunnel, and then, oh, your exit was here. You missed your exit. You're done, bud. No.
You're done. You missed it.
Yeah, God's going to be like, okay, you missed this exit, but here's this next exit. We can reroute you, and we'll get you there. And I think that's what a lot of us need to hear, is that just because you miss one exit, miss one moment, doesn't mean that there's going to be 100 more to come down the road. God is not one to say, wash your hands, you're done. No, he's gonna say, I'm getting in the mud with you, boy. We're gonna go. We're gonna make sure we do what we need to do to get this done, to walk in the will, and it's obedience, and it's abidance with the Spirit. And it starts with community. It starts with prayer. It starts with devotion to reading, sacrificing little moments to pray and read, and carve out time in the day to really stand firm in that. What do you think, Turner?
Yeah, that's really good. And I like how you call it back to trust, because I think for us, God's gonna make it apparent if we're seeking him. It's hard to listen to someone when you're not listening to them. Mm-hmm. It's hard to I like to think in analogies or in metaphors or in similes, but say me and you, Parker, you're trying to figure out what I want for lunch, but you don't text me, you don't call me, You don't run into me. You don't ask me. Like, you're never giving me the opportunity to speak. You're never entering into conversation with us. I think sometimes we want God to like come out of nowhere and force his will on us, but he's not that type of God. He wants us to pursue him. He wants us to pursue his will, and he's going to make it apparent. And then I think when he doesn't make it apparent, it's because he's trying to strengthen us in our trust. God is God. He doesn't need to give you a reason for why he does stuff. And honestly, sometimes he doesn't tell you because we can't comprehend why he would do stuff. He's God. Like, if he truly is God, then we're not going to be able to understand some things. But that's when our trust comes in, and like we have to understand that's not because God's not a good God. He is a good God. Like, if any of you are parents or any of you like understand like that feeling of like when your kid is doing something that you can't really explain to them why they shouldn't, or they don't understand why they can't have this or why they can't do that, but you do. And one day they'll know. Imagine that, but to infinity, because God is so much more. There's so much more of a gap in the understanding and in the role that God plays than you do for your child. And so, like, understanding that and just being able to trust him. And in that, it builds a pursuit. It builds a understanding, and it builds our like that verse says. It makes us more perseverant into where trials come, things can come, but we know that God is faithful because we've seen it again and again and again. In terms of God's will, there's a general will in our lives that I'm always pointed to. And I don't have it written down. I'm sorry, guys. You guys can look it up on your own. But I'll put the verse piece out. I'll put the verse. It's Colossians. Colossians 1:10. I will actually start in 9. And it says, "And so, from the day we heard, you have not ceased to pray for, or I have not ceased to praise for you, asking that you may be filled with the knowledge of his will in all spiritual wisdom and understanding." Right? And so this is what he's saying in layman's terms, right? That you would be filled with the understanding of what God's will, his general spiritual wisdom and understanding that he wants for you. How you can receive this. What are we supposed to do? So it says that you may be filled with the knowledge of his will in all spiritual wisdom and an understanding. Verse 10 says, so this is what we're to do, to walk in a manner worthy of the Lord, fully pleasing to him, bearing fruit in every good work and increasing in the knowledge of God. I think all of us can do that. All of us should be asking ourselves, are we doing that? And I think it's only through the pursuit of that that we can receive answers. Like that pretty much covers everything we were just talking about, like getting to know God. Because if you don't know God, then you don't know what he wants for you. Like bearing fruit. The bearing fruit can only come from being attached to God and from the Holy Spirit. Right? This is a direct correlation back to Jesus. When Jesus said, if you remain in me, like I am the good vine, anyone who remains in me will bear fruit. And then it's another correlation to Ephesians, where it talks about what the fruits of the spirits are. So this is saying, like, remain in God, remain in him, grow in your knowledge with him, listen to the Spirit and do good works, and increase it. Yeah. So, and then rest of it talks about being strengthened with all power according to the glorious might, for all endurance and patience with joy, giving thanks to the Father. Right. I'm actually going to look this up because I want people to be able to see this on the screen. On everyone. Okay, let's just click over to, we can present. Just click over to share screen. let's Colossians share. So here's the verse. Can you see it, Parker?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's the verses from. I think we talked about 9, but yeah. So if you're ever wondering, and you can go and look at this on your own, anyone who has a ability to look at the Bible, but if you're ever looking for a general will, or you're ever wondering, like, God, what do you want me to do? Like, go to this verse. Ask yourself, are you pursuing God in this way? And are you growing in ways that God has called you to? So yeah, that's a verse, and I can't take credit for finding that verse. I had a mentor of mine showing me that verse, and that's kind of been my verse when I'm trying to figure out what God calls me into. But no, if you're in a job right now and you're not sure if you're supposed to be there, pursue Him, seek Him out, grow in your understanding of Him. And if He doesn't tell you anything, keep doing those things, because none of those things are anything for yourself. Those are all things for others to share good works with others, and for others to be blessed and to reach other people and to grow in your understanding of Him. And through that, I think God will make it apparent whether He wants you to stay or not. And if not, trust Him in that season. So yeah, that's it with that. That's all I have. Parker, you have anything you want to talk about or add onto that Colossians verse?
You killed that.
Whatever.
Oh, you did.
Whatever. I appreciate it. ADHD. And once again, if anyone ever watches this, has any questions on Spotify, you can watch this on Spotify. You can put comments. Yeah, there's a place for questions and answers. We'll answer your questions. You can always go to YouTube comments and comment. We want to hear what you guys have to think about this. What are some things, or what are some testimonies? What are some things that God has brought you through that can encourage someone else? So we'd like you, if you're still watching, or if you're watching wherever you're watching or you're listening, join the community and share some ways that God has been trustworthy in your life, some questions you may have about His trustworthiness, or how do I know what His will is, or some advice that you may have that we didn't answer. This is a community. This is a place where we want you guys to enter in fellowship with us. But that's all we have when it comes to that. I guess now we can go on to our next new segment that we talked about at the beginning. The Wheel of Chatter. I don't even know if I like the name, but this is a new it's a new topic, or a new segment that we're gonna do. I think it'd be really cool. I think you guys are really gonna enjoy it. So if you stay this long, you're in for a real treat. You get to see what me and Parker do the best, which is argue. And you're gonna see another side of Parker. You know, quiet Parker over there. When we start talking about a debated topic, Parker gonna talk out. So what we're gonna do, how we're gonna do this? Obviously, we'll have chatter. We have a wheel with a bunch of hot topics. Hot topics that are prevalent. They don't have to talk about. They're not specific to relationship with God. They're just stuff that we're passionate about, or stuff that is very heavy in media, or heavy on. It's a big question. So without any further ado, you'll see, you'll follow. So let's go ahead and share my screen again. Share the wheel. All right, you see it? Yeah, you can see it. All right, this is a wheel. We have some topics like, is marble washed? It's another one over there. See your space, and we'll explain some of these things. Good or lucky, NIV versus ESV. Should you get free food at work? That's a good one. But without any further ado, let's just spin the wheel and see what it lands on. Oh.
That's a fat spin, bro. I think it's
Oh. Oh, man.
all right. Turn you.
All right,
First, bro.
I think we've had this discussion in a hot tub before. Definitely probably had this in a hot tub before. No, there's nothing like the hot topics when you're in a hot tub. All right, let me get this written down as a banner. What is the hardest sport? Well, for me personally, like I've said before, was a football player. I played a lot of other sports. I love football. Football is a very physical sport, and it is a sport where there's a lot of different techniques and a lot of different positions that you have that you can play. Let me get that off of here. I think football, from a understanding point, is one of the more advanced sports in different techniques. You have people who are offensive linemen who you think are just big, slow, easy guys, but their understanding of what's going on is just like what all it takes for a play to work. Like there has to be 11 people doing their job and not one messing up. And sometimes it takes adapting because you have 11 other people trying to stop you. So I think I wouldn't say football. It's tough. It's tough. And I think at the end of the day, what I've came to the conclusion on is this is a dumb question. Because also another sport that I think is really hard and is built on majority failures, another sport that I enjoy and something that I coach and played was baseball. Baseball is a sport where you're only going to succeed less than 30% of the time. If you succeed over 30% of the time, you're going to be a Hall of Famer. I mean, and so, yeah, like in a sense, it is 9 versus 1. Like if you are batting on a baseball field, you are playing against 9 other people who are trying to stop you. And you have somebody pitching at you from at the highest levels, anywhere from high 90s to low 100s. And there's not just fastball. They have changeups. They have curveballs. The balls move in ways you have to be able to read the speed and react quicker than a blink. If you blink, you'll miss the ball. And so the reaction time, the contact, you have to hit it in a spot where people aren't, and there's 9 other people. There's 9 people out there that are trying to stop you. I think in terms of that, we could say baseball's the hardest sport. So my answer would be probably football or baseball when it comes to, I'd say, like success-wise, you're more likely. It's easier to succeed in football than it is in baseball because baseball is a game where you just suck less than someone else and you win. But football, and the complexity of what all is going on in the physical demandingness of the sport, the necessary to understand everything and be physically the best premier athlete on the planet. So I'd say the football or baseball. I can't choose.
Well,
that's my arguments for that.
I would disagree.
Of course you would.
I'm going to say those are terrible responses. Not just
no, you're not.
Anything
you mean that?
It's just a bailout answer because it's just baseball, bro. You suck one game, but your teammates are cracked. You're still winning the game. Like, it's not that tough. You're fine.
But reverse that. You're cracked and you play amazing and you still lose the game.
That's just what it is, man. It's a team sport.
Hey, it's a give and a take.
You signed up for that when you put a team sport. Team. There ain't no I in team, but I'll tell you what is hard. Golf or soccer. and I've hated on soccer. Shut up.
Aaron has left the chat. Aaron has left the chat.
Give me a second. Gosh, give me a second. Put your fat face back on that screen. Yeah, okay. Bro, I'm going to say soccer because after watching Marcus play soccer, bro, you have to be cracked to have the handling that he has with his, like, bro, he just dodges them bros. He just, the skill it takes to have that type of footwork and the speed and the awareness and the understanding of angles and distance and speed, it's crazy. But that's the second hardest sport. The first hardest sport is golf because there's so many variables, and everybody who says golf is easy and they go out to the driving range and they try hitting the ball and they can't even make contact with it, then they get humbled real quick because then they're saying that 500 yards and you have 4 shots to get into the hole and the hole is 3 inches wide and you can spin it 60 yards that way and 60 yards that way. They're like, oh, that's pretty tough. Getting speed, distance, launch angles, everything. Golf is the hardest sport. On top of that, you have to deal with weather, terrain, variables in the grass, everything. It's just if you've played golf, you know that like breaking 100 is just it's tough. It's tough, and that's literally to be just
and breaking 100 is like not even like what is it, 20 or 30 strokes above par. Depends on where you're at.
So like on average, if you're going to do well in golf, it's like making 2 over on each hole, like getting a 6 where you're supposed to get a 4. And that would get you like what? 18, 36 over. Like you're right there in that 96 to 100 range. That's not good. And that's considered. And so I think golf is the hardest because it's a tiny club face and you're swinging at 100 miles an hour, making like contact with that big of a ball, going like 4.
See, they don't agree with you, whatever. I'll take that as you're done because you need to be done because you're 100% wrong. I would say, okay, look, don't get me wrong, golf is tough. Technically, it is probably the toughest sport. Technically, I'm not saying technically as in I'm saying like as in technique. Like it's one of the because there's so many nuances, there's so many things that could go wrong in trying to do it. But I also think like golf is hard because there's a hard like entry wall. Like it's a skill that you don't just naturally have. It's something that it's very foreign. And I only think here, I'll talk about soccer here in a second, but let's talk about golf. We'll talk about that in a second. ADHD again. But soccer, I already want to talk about golf. Like once you start to figure out some of the things, like the reason why I don't say it's the hardest sport is because when I think of sport, I think of physical activity. I don't think of technique. I do think of technique, but I think of like so for something to be hard, it has to be physically hard. It has to be technically hard. It has to be mentally hard. I think it's missing out on a lot of the physical aspects that are required for me to think of that's a tough sport.
I don't know, man, but an average 18 holes of golf is 6 miles, and you're walking 6 miles.
Okay. You're walking.
Carrying 40 pounds and swinging at 100 miles an hour 70 times.
Okay. Yeah, and now do that at 6 or 8. Do that at 20 pounds of pace in a football game where you're wearing your stuff, and you have another man trying to throw you into the ground. Right?
Oh, I'm not
There's a reason. There's a reason why Tom Brady is the only 40-year-old who, and he's a quarterback. That's a position that where you can, but like,
bro, mute
running backs. How long do running backs last in the league? Not long, because they get dominated, they get ran over, their bodies get abused. You don't see people who look like Tiger Woods on a football field. You don't see people who have broken their back and come back a month later and win a Masters, right? You don't get that because there is a physical element. There is something about there is a level of physical ability that you have to have that you can't. Me, there are people who look.
Turner, do you know how much physical ability it takes to learn how to get good at swinging a golf club and like timing and?
It doesn't take being a genetic freak of nature.
You don't think Tiger Woods is a genetic freak?
No, he looks like
obviously don't know
he
golf
looks.
that well. He
Okay,
does not know golf well.
Okay, how fast is 40? How much can he bench press? How
does that have
how
to do
high
with
can he jump?
Why is that?
Because
is that
that's a physical freak.
Dude,
like,
baseball is like you sit at the plate and you swing at him, and then maybe you make contact and you run 2 bases. That's not super physically demanding. And then you go sit in a dugout for 30 minutes.
To throw a ball 90 miles an hour.
A pitcher's doing that, just one person.
Dude, there are shortstops who are slinging that thing 100 miles an hour to first base.
It's not. I wouldn't say it's super physically demanding, though. I wouldn't say it's super physically.
Okay, it's not quite. It's not quite. But I think on the scale. I think on the scale of physical demanding, there's football, there's like basketball, there's like lacrosse, there's all this stuff, and baseball is just at that threshold. You go to golf is over here. Where you can be 90 years old and swing a golf club. You can't be 90 years old.
That could be good.
And be.
All I'm saying is everybody hates on golf. Hey, just give me some moment. Everybody hates on golf until they go out and they like absolutely crap the bed and they shoot like a 120, and then they see somebody who goes and shoots 72 and they're like, how did he do that? It's because it takes skill, it takes athleticism, it takes timing, it takes practice. There's nothing more mentally challenging than golf, and you will never convince me otherwise in the realm of sports. Nothing is more mentally challenging.
I get it. Those are 2 things that golf I think has. And this is why I won't say it's the hardest, because in these aspects, yes, it is the hardest if you're talking about technique or mentally. Because that was one of the biggest things for me in disc golf that I had to deal with. And I think in the same way, disc golf is mentally challenging because you have to sit there with the pressure of everything is on me, and you have to wait in between each shot and think about what all could go wrong, think about what you're doing, and actually plan it out and know that if one thing goes wrong, the mental pressure that can be put on yourself is like no other.
And I think that mental pressure begins to weigh physically on you. There's been studies that have been shown that mental pressure in golf results in physical wear. Like for today, an example in golf practice, like there was guys who weren't playing well and they were mentally just beaten and out of it, and you could tell that they were physically not there. They weren't able to put the normal swings on there. They were tired. They were beat, and it's a lot. And my perspective being a collegiate golf athlete and seeing how Turner was a collegiate football player, like we all have the areas where, it's challenging. But I think golf, in my opinion, takes a cake. Now, we don't let that rest. I believe, because I don't know if you know me and Turner's relationship, you know that this could go on for about 3 or 4 hours.
And it's going to keep going because...
No, it's not.
Since we talked about college football, I will say, too, there is nothing like the pressure you have on when you are man-to-man covering someone, and it's like, who's going to be the better athlete? And it's not just who's going to be the better athlete, because there's an extensive amount of technique that no one knows unless you do it that goes into playing that position. Oh, I stepped too far inside with my step. I lined too far inside. Oh, my feet, I didn't get hands on. I didn't reach. I wasn't in good position on a lever shoulder. I looked back too soon. I looked at the quarterback. Oh, I'm in the wrong coverage. I'm not looking at all this stuff. Like all these things you got to think of. And like it kind of happens quick. So it's almost like you don't think about it, but you all have that pressure leading up to it and like the preparation. And then on top of that, you're physically beat. You've been dragging another person. You've been tackling another person. You've been having your head kicked in for the past 30, 45 minutes to an hour, 3 hours of intense practice. Like the intensity of like Parker, I imagine you going to practice. You're like, oh, we had a tough practice today. We had to walk 6 miles. It was uphill, and coach made us stay on one hole and work on our chip shots. And man, my arm is so sore. One like that just makes me as a football player just ticked off to realize, oh yeah, it must have been so bad. Like when football players vacation, you know what they do? They play your sport because it's a fun leisure time. It's a hobby.
And
it's not something
they suck at it.
People like Tony Romo, when they can't play football anymore because they cracked their back 27 times, they're like, oh, I'll go play golf. I'll go play. And sure, no, they're not going to be as good as someone who.
You know what Tony Romo has said? Golf is the hardest sport. So thank you for referring to him.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sure. Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Well, he's also. What can he play now? What can he play now? He might be able to say that. But what is he playing? What is he playing now? Okay. Can Tony Romo go play football right now? Could he go? Hey, he can say whatever he wants. Okay, can Tony Romo go play football right now?
Case is dismissed.
Answer my question. You don't want to answer this question. Can Tony Romo go play football right now?
I'm sure he could toss it around. I'm sure he could.
He could toss the football. That's not playing football. Can he go play in the NFL right now?
I mean, sure.
No, but what did he do after he played in the NFL? He went and played pro golf.
He didn't.
And he wasn't.
Golf. He hasn't made No, he hasn't. He's played in
a pro tournament.
He's played in a pro AM tournament. It's not the same.
Okay.
It's the thing I do before the tournament starts for the celebrities to have fun.
No, I'm pretty sure he's actually played in a professional tournament. It might not have been official PDGA,
but might have been
or PGA.
He didn't make the cut because he's not that
okay. Good. I know, because he spent his entire life dedicating it to football. What I'm saying is that you can go and you can play golf until you're 50 years old because it doesn't take much physical. You can just go out there and do it. People who can't play football anymore, or people who want to have fun and have a leisure time, they go play golf for a reason. There are people who physically will never be able to play football. There are people who are physically will never be able to play basketball because they're not tall enough, because they're not big enough, because they're not fast enough, but they can play golf.
I think it's relative.
And the only reason
I think it's relative to the level that you play it at. Like it's all relative. If you play golf at a really high level, it's just relative. And that's where we can end this dismissal. This doesn't have to be in this. This is my last question. It's my last question.
Do you think if nobody played like physically, like if nobody played basketball, if golf was the only sport in the world, let's put it this way. If golf was the only sport in the world, do you think that some of those athletes who have devoted their entire lives to playing basketball, to playing football, to playing baseball, to playing some of these other physically intense, because they are really good athletes and they've made it this far, do you think those athletes, if given the entire lives focused on golf, do you think they would excel better than people who've excelled in golf?
It's tough to say. I'd say yes and no. Yes, if given that they have the mental capacity to be able to endure all that it takes to be good at golf, yes. No, if they don't. Golf is something you can't just play once a week and still be good at. It's something that you have to put in. And a lot of people write golf off. It's like, all you do is go play 18 holes. It's like, nah, bro. 18 holes is what we enjoy to do. What you don't see is the 2.5 hours of range work, grinding, hitting golf balls when you're not hitting them well, and you're flaring out right, and it's high right, and you can't figure it out, and you're sitting up there for 2 hours by yourself and missing lots of golf balls. You can't figure it out. That's frustrating. And then after that, you go and chip for an hour and a half, and you're working on technique, and maybe you're chunking a little bit, maybe you're thinning it a little bit. That's tough to handle. Like it's a mental thing, and it's like maybe you're hitting the ball the best you've ever hit, and you can't score because you could be hitting it really well and you could still play terrible. There's so many factors to it, and I think if given the ability, would maybe Michael Jordan be really good at golf? I don't know. I think he could compete. I think that he could be at a really high level. I think he's an athlete. I think he could be at one of the top, but I don't think a lacrosse player could easily make that transition and still be good at golf, because there are some people who just, no matter how hard they practice, they can't get golf down. Right? And it's the same thing. Like, no matter how much I practice at football, I'll never be a good football player. If given.
Yeah. I also think, though, when I hear that, like, mental, like, I'm like, I hear what you're saying, and I do agree that, like, for the sake of the argument over, like, I do agree that, like, there are some skills that you, like, athletes have. Like, everyone has strengths and weaknesses, and I think golf has, people who play golf have different strengths, different weaknesses than someone who's 250 pounds and plays linebacker. Like, someone who's like that doesn't have the muscle flexibility and the ability to hit a golf ball. But I also think, like, I think your comment about mental, like, capacity to do it, I think you're kind of missing out on, like, if you've made it through college football, and if anyone who's ever played college or practiced at any level football versus golf,
like, it's a grind. It's college.
You will realize the grind. Like, it is all those same things of, like, if you really care about it, it's gonna hurt you, and you're gonna put in hours of footwork drills. You're not just gonna go up there on Friday nights and play, or Saturdays and play. You're putting hours of understanding plays, and you may get a new coach next year, and you might have an entirely new playbook. And, like, now you're trying to understand it so well that if you're playing quarterback, you know what everyone else on the team is doing, you know what the defense is doing, and you're reacting before the snap to know what to do in that play.
That's why I say it's relative to the level you play.
And that you're also getting smacked by 300-pound man. So, like,
like I said, it's relative to the level you play it at.
Like, I think, like, a guy like Tom Brady, I think Tom Brady could probably be the GOAT at golf if he devoted his life to it. I think so.
I don't know. Tough to say. We'll never know. But
we'll never know. That's what's fun about these arguments. Hot topics.
Good thing we discussed that.
Well,
I think we're getting towards the end.
Yeah, we'll shake. We'll agree to disagree, like we always have. We do this in fun.
And don't think of this as hateful. We enjoy doing this. It's fun.
And anything we say, I want to close by taking a shot at soccer. I can't believe that you would say soccer when you're only using half your body. That's right.
Dude.
That's another one. I get soccer. I get soccer is hard, but I think also, like, you look at people in, like, third world countries who are, like, cracked at it because that's what they did. And I think us as Americans, we think soccer is a lot harder because we haven't done it. But I also think if, like, LeBron James or, like, all these other people who are, like, cracked athletes were just playing soccer, I think America would be great at soccer. I think America would dominate at soccer but we have so many. Our best athletes are not in soccer. I think soccer is a very hard sport, but I would not say it's the hardest or even the second hardest. Sorry, Mars. Sorry, anyone who plays soccer.
It's all up to debate.
It is, because we'll never know.
It doesn't matter.
Never know. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
It's fun to talk about.
I think my honest answer is they're all hard in their own result. And the reason why sports are hard is because you have someone going against you. Sports are only as hard as the opponents that you're facing. Like, I could be good at golf if every other, like, golfer in the world shot 130 every time they did. I would be considered good at golf. But I'm only as good as my competition. So I think as long as there's competition, every sport is going to be just as hard. Like, I think that's something to stay true. Like, if we put everyone in all one sport, it's it's going to be the hardest sport because that's where it is. So at the end of the day, like all sports are hard in their own regard, have their own skills and have their own things you got to learn, and are all going to be equally as hard because there's a defensive or a competitive aspect to it. Anytime there's a competition, it's going to be hard. So, yeah, it's fun to have these debates and stuff. I hope you guys don't think that me and Parker hate each other. I hope you guys enjoy it. And once again, add in the comments what you guys think. I think this is a good way to get you guys interactive, enjoy. Some of you guys who are non-computational probably are hating this right now, but we love each other. Some of the stuff we say just because we're trying to get on the other person's nerves. Let us know if you like this. Let us know if you like this format and like the wheel of chatter and if we should bring it back. Other than that, Parker, I appreciate you doing this with me every week. Yeah. Let's close with a reminder. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and we are now live on Spotify. If you want to watch this this podcast on your phone on Spotify, and subscribe to us, it helps us get further with our podcast, do more stuff with our podcast. So if you're not watching it live, please go watch it on Spotify. And it also has the ability to where you can turn your phone black and just listen to it. So if you haven't already, follow us on Spotify. But we thank you guys for watching. Parker, anything you want to say before we dismiss?
Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for putting up with us. And have a good week.
Yep. Keep praying for us. Keep praying for Marcus. Keep praying for all the different things that we've talked about. And if you have anything you want us to pray for, put it in the comments, put it in the chat, or come talk to us personally. We love all you guys personally very much, and we pray for all y'all, and we pray for the success of this podcast. Spread the word, spread the news of Jesus, and if you want to spread our podcast, we would love that, and maybe have the opportunity to spread Jesus someone. We thank you all for what y'all do. Y'all have a great rest of y'all's week. Peace.